You know, there's a lot of talk right now about journalist Tommy Robinson in the UK and the fact that he may be going to prison for years because he had the nerve to show his documentary film called Silenced. So if you haven't had time to see the film, let me explain the controversy in a brief nutshell. It all started with this short video of two boys in a schoolyard scuffle. One of the boys is white and English, and the other boy is a Syrian refugee. Now, at first glance, you might say, well, what's going on here? One boy is holding the other down and pouring water on him. And if you're a really rational person, you might ask yourself, well, why is this happening? And you might want to know just a little more about the context of the situation. But the mainstream British media isn't rational, and they didn't ask any of those questions. No, what they did is they immediately took this video and ran with the global headline, "White racist bully waterboards a poor Syrian refugee," while at the same time painting the Syrian boy as a little angel who never bothered a soul. And people like Piers Morgan even called for the retribution against the English boy.
Everybody was exposing the scumbag that did this, who I hope gets severe retribution.
A teenager with his whole life ahead of him until it was ruined by people like Piers, who didn't do their due diligence before condemning him to the entire world, to the point that the boy even became suicidal and had grown Muslim gangs with machetes out in the streets looking for him. In fact, his entire family had to go into hiding because of these irresponsible media reports. So this is where Tommy Robinson comes in. Being familiar with the leftist media in this country and their tendency to twist reality into whatever shape necessary to fit their leftist agenda, he began a massive investigation to find the facts about the incident in the video. And what he found is really shocking. According to witnesses, the Syrian refugee was no angel at all. He had a long history of bullying young girls and even physically assaulting multiple children. He beat one girl with a hockey stick, requiring her to take pain medication for the long-term back injury he caused. He bit another English girl on the head while she was being beaten by other Muslim girls. One boy said that he was stabbed by the Syrian refugee with a compass, and his school records even indicated he was caught with a knife and a screwdriver. Another boy said the Syrian would attack him almost daily anytime he saw him. He called grown women fat white bitches and was often put into detention for his behavior. And do you see this blue cast on his arm? Witnesses say that he got that injury because he, at the age of 15, was punching a 12-year-old kid in the face repeatedly until another kid threw him off the boy and caused the injury. But what about this image, the one that started it all? Well, as it turns out, the Syrian boy had threatened to rape the English boy's 9-year-old sister earlier. And this was their big brother taking up for them. And I think a lot of people would have probably done more than splash him with a little water if that's the case. Now, as shocking as all this may be, it's not nearly as shocking as what the school did to hide all of this negative information about the Syrian boy from the public once the mainstream narrative had taken hold. It's the reason that none of the witnesses that I mentioned before came forward, because Tommy Robinson found through his investigation that the school spent £250,000 paying off the witnesses who all signed non-disclosure agreements to never talk about any of it. Now, why didn't the rest of the mainstream media report that to you? But it gets worse. The family of the Syrian boy ended up suing Tommy for revealing what he'd found out in his investigation as a journalist. And the judge in the case ruled in their favor, costing Tommy millions. Even when multiple witnesses in the case did come forward, teachers, students, respected members of the community, the judge said that all of them were lying and the Syrian boy was telling the truth. The court then ordered an injunction against Tommy playing the documentary he'd made, Silenced, so that no one could ever hear the full story. So Tommy had a decision to make here. Should he honor the court's injunction and let the young English boy's life be ruined by what witnesses all claimed were lies about him? Or should he play the film and vindicate the boy so the world would know he wasn't the terrible white racist bully they'd all made him out to be? Well, if you know Tommy like I do, he's always one to stand up for the little guy and the underdog. So he showed the film. And for that noble gesture, his reward may be a 2 to 4 year prison stint in Belmarsh, the UK's most maximum security prison. So if you're watching this video, please share it everywhere so that the world knows the truth and the world sees the corrupt establishment, the media, and the judiciary in the UK. And just maybe, if we put enough pressure on them and the world protests enough, we can all help to free Tommy Robinson and send a message to the leftist governments everywhere that we the people will not be silenced.